good evening, and welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed. I'm Jeremy Taylor, the Brit on the radio, the only Brit who's not been Brexited yet. And let me gently introduce, with the least elusive alliteration I can find, and a small amount of pungent perspicacity, a thrilling threnody of rapturous, rippling rumbustiousness of our panel tonight, the indefatigable, indomitable and irrefutable Kathleen Taylor.
I thought for a minute you were being subtle at the beginning, but no.
Subtle? No, not me, Squire. A man we thought lost way out to legend and comic books and things like that. Mr. Jason Springer.
JT, what's good?
What's up? What's up? Yes. Oh, yes. And recently released from Swedish.
Yes, I'm stealing your chip.
Song singing, Mr. Fernando. And what does Meow House mean?
It's just like I forgot the name of the place. It's like in New Mexico. There is some
flying cat vampire.
No, it's like a museum.
That would be so awesome.
It's an art interactive location that they did this on Halloween. Part is the name of the store. It's like for the band Bauhaus. There was a Halloween fake band. It's a fictitious...
Brendan Conroy's with us again.
Hello there.
That was a great tale, Fernando. That was yeah. I'm glad you got a chance to finish that.
Dr. Orlando.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Sherlock Holmes is.
Thanks for cutting me again.
Sure.
It's a pleasure.
You see, you weren't told that if you sit in that seat, that's what happens.
God, I miss doing this.
That's what it is. Okay. Next
you not
time
know
I'm gonna
that?
sit over there.
No, you can come.
You
and sit
never
in this
cut
seat.
Evo. Yeah, maybe.
No, that's
maybe I'll
because
do
it's
that.
Evo.
I think you just sit on the end because you're afraid of us.
Yes, well, Evo's not here, actually, so we can talk about it. Let's talk about Evo and why Bulgaria. That should be our first subject. Why Bulgaria? And then you have to say something. What about the most interesting man in the world's smarter brother? The magic Dr. Orlando.
Hello there, children.
That is awesome.
Well, I don't want any children listening to
And,
this.
and on the
Never.
controls tonight, Mr. Rasmus. Oh, yes. So, I'm interested in a question, and I'm only going to ask foreigners.
What to you as a foreigner?
Well, people who don't come from America.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were from England.
Dr. Fernando. During what the Americans call March Madness and the Super Bowl, right, you get invited, I know, to lots of different people's houses. Us foreigners do. They need that credibility of having a foreigner there, don't they? Have you noticed that? What snack do you believe that the house should provide that absolutely has to be there, otherwise they're just a waste of space and you'll never go to their place again to watch the Super Bowl? What snack? What's it got to be?
I like cold cuts and some good cheese.
Cold cups?
Cold cuts.
Cuts. Oh.
Some good ham and salamis and those kind of things.
Right.
Not what's the name of those?
The protein.
Not beef jerky, not the summer sausage. I don't know what the hell they come up with this crap.
That is disgusting.
What do you think about summer sausage?
You want some Slim
It's
Jim?
disgusting.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Do you like summer sausage, Brennan?
It is disgusting.
It's pretty good. I like
thought
it.
the Europeans would give a better influence for the Americans, but apparently not.
What actually happened, Fernando, because you come from a different foreign place to me, but when our lot were sailing back across the Atlantic, or the big channel as it's known, having given them their freedom, and all that sort of thing, we left behind summer sausages. And I tell you what, the crews on the ships were pissing themselves because the Americans thought this was something special, and they've eaten summer sausage ever since. And no one from Europe or England has ever felt able to tell them.
That is
What
the
is
biggest
that? Is
pile
that
of crap
like
I've
some
ever
sort of
heard.
bologna?
Literally.
I
Some
agree with you
sort
on
of
this.
bologna, a little more like salty. What the heck
don't
is
know.
that? Like it's
Disgusting, whatever it is.
All I know is my home country would never, ever come up with a food called spotted dick.
Bingo. Bingo. No pun intended, but suck on that.
All I'm gonna say, it's a very acquired taste because I love it. Okay. I wonder if Kathleen does as well.
There's nowhere where we can go with that without being reported to HR.
It's a bit late for that.
Have we not already?
Mr. Springer now.
Well, actually, you have to specify the actual event, because with the Super Bowl is one single event, whereas March Madness, you have numerous events, and it can be a day-long event and day-long just watching basketball from sun up to sundown, which is Super Bowl,
stuff, right?
pretty much. But if you're going to have a Super Bowl party, you should have a meal. If you're the host, you'd be serving something that's really like a meal. And for me, it's chili.
He's a good
It's
host.
that time of year, and that
be
really
chili.
just kind of warms the soul, and everybody just really digs it. But for March Madness, honestly, I'm going to go a little cheap here. Totino's pizza rolls. Pizza rolls are just fantastic. I can't tell you why I like them, but I don't know if they put crack in them or not, but they are fantastic. And you can bake 80 of them all at once, and it only takes 15 minutes, and everybody's happy they're there.
Now, before I go all the way around the panel, I think I should come clean. What it is that I got my Costco check, or our Costco check, the other day, and we will in fact be going to Costco very shortly, and I need to know what to get.
Totino's pizza rolls, buddy.
Pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls. Yep. They're nice and cheap, and they're good. Even though people will sit there and say, "Oh," and they're looking and go, "I'm better than that." Bullshit. When you're not looking, they're going to eat the hell out of that.
Now, Mr. Brennan, although you purport to be an accountant, you're actually really a chef.
I do both.
And have been most of your working life. What do you think, if you were going to go to one of these parties, what would you want to take with you if you wanted to impress?
The one thing that seems to impress universally, even though it's not that difficult, but always is very popular, a good buffalo chicken dip. That's a good call. That is universally what I always bring, because I think I have made a very good one over several times of having to concoct one, and I've come out with one that is, in my opinion, perfect. I think it's delicious. The one I have come up with, at least, is delicious. It has gorgonzola cheese.
There you go. I was about to ask you, so what do you think is your secret ingredient that makes it yours?
Both gorgonzola and blue cheeses.
You don't put the Celtic
What's up?
Celtic sauce that is
No.
over here? Okay.
So does that mean that what you do is you create naked wings?
No. What I do is this is a dip that you eat with tortilla chips or corn chips, and what you would do is create it.
You'd probably eat it with anything, like pickles. And, yeah.
I just use tortilla.
Or a spoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just use corn and tortilla chips because they're the best, I think, with it. It has shredded chicken breast in it. It is left to bake for a very long time with lots of cheese and lots of buffalo sauce, and is let to marinate, form a nice crust on the top, and it comes out very delicious.
Jeremy, can I go ahead and say, since you are the Lord, apparently.
Not my fault. I was born that way.
Can you go? Oh, that must be tough. It's a good thing you're humble. So, can you make a rule that if Brennan's going to be on the show, that he has to bring this again? Because that sounds delicious, and I'm starting to salivate, actually.
Can I offer the one problem? The one problem I have with that is I come right here from class.
No, never mind. All right.
Yeah.
Please excuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I call bullshit, really, because Brennan's father owns the bar that we're currently sitting in, and we've been broadcasting from for some hundreds of episodes. He has a fully equipped commercial kitchen not more than 50 feet from where we're sitting now.
And someone is working in it.
What's that got to do with it?
It is my
the boss's son.
It is my job not to get in their way.
Oh, God, that's really ingratiating.
Then do you really think gorgonzola cheese is a staple here? I mean,
Exactly.
Come on now.
Yeah, here they have cheese-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit like being Marie Antoinette, isn't it, when you're Brennan? Let them eat
Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz or Velveeta. They probably wouldn't even buy Velveeta, would they? I don't know. So, Dr. Orlando, what do you think there has to be?
So I actually went the opposite way, I think. I think everybody here has talked about what is their favorite. And for me, I actually interpreted this question as what is the bare minimum? Like, what is the food that if it's not there, you will walk away?
So it's the staple.
It is, yeah. Like, this person obviously didn't care about his company if they don't show up to this, if they don't have this food out. For me, it's those little tiny hot dogs that are in the barbecue sauce. Like, that to me is the staple.
The Little Smokies?
The Little Smokies.
Oh, yeah, man.
If you don't have Little Smokies, you are not at a community gathering.
I do not
That's
like
why you
those
left
at
earlier.
all.
I didn't say you had to like them.
No,
I said
will.
they have to be there.
No, and if you come to any of my parties, I do not have those.
We don't
because
get
I think
invited to
those
your
are
parties.
Correct, because you would get disgusted and run away screaming.
Little Smokies are not my favorite either.
Mr. Evo, if you were going to hold a party like you do 2 or 3 times a year in your basement that only certain people are invited to, as long as they're not members of the law enforcement, what do you think has to be there?
Like non-alcoholic, you mean like food?
Yeah, snacks.
Well, Lou said the Little Smokies, and we always had these at the Super Bowl party. I don't know, just finger food,
Is there anything Bulgarian?
Chips and
Is there anything Bulgarian?
New Year party that we do, we have banica, which is kind of a bizarre pastry that's actually, it's not sweet. It involves phyllo dough and feta cheese, and it's crispy and extremely, it's very delicious. It's really, really good.
But you can't make them sweet, though, right?
You can, but most of the time they either make them with feta cheese. Actually, I don't like spinach, but sometimes they make them with spinach and it's good. It's the crispy factor is really fantastic. Make it with phyllo dough and butter, eggs. Jamie does a really good job.
That sounds tasty.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And we come New Year, there's a tradition where we actually put like charms, lucky charms inside of each piece of banica, and I write those charms. So what you do, you wrap it up in foil, and I write some ridiculous thing on it, and it's gonna be what's gonna happen next year. Like, for example, I write something like you're gonna have sex 700 times or something next year.
So when you get one of these, you can not only bite on something that will break your teeth, it'll also get you to your fillings.
You get warning that it's soft. It's a piece of paper, but you're warned.
Oh, you don't mean like actual Lucky Charms?
No. There's one.
I had this vision of you like putting pink hearts, yellow moons, blue diamonds, purple horseshoes, all that shit.
One of those Lucky Charms is considered the biggest.
They are magically delicious.
The luckiest is actually a coin. And you wrap it up in foil and you warn everybody there's going to be a coin in one of those pieces of banica. So watch out. But whoever gets the coin is the biggest luck for the next year or so. So it's kind of silly. But yeah, chips, you know me. I just eat crap. I eat chips and chocolate. It's a miracle I'm still alive. I just consume the worst food.
It is, particularly if you suggest in front of your wife to your son that he's going to get laid 700 times.
Actually, that was one of the
doesn't
lucky
knock you
charms
about a bit
this year. And it was Neil's son picked that one up. So, he was not disappointed. He was like, yeah, that's good. And there was something else that was obnoxious. The other ones were okay, like you're going to get on a fantastic cruise ship or something. What now? You're going to get a new car or a new job or blah, blah, blah. But some of them were obnoxious.
Did you ever put anything like unlucky charms in there? Or unlucky fortunes?
Ooh.
So that's what you should do. You should make it kind of this little...
That's devious.
It's all about gambling and just roulette. Maybe you get the lucky charm. Maybe you don't.
He's so sinister.
You could write,
He's so
you
sinister.
may well be fucked.
Jason. I got to do that, yeah.
Don't you think?
Just write one. Just one.
One that's like the
Just one like horrible.
Unlucky charm.
Like you will get herpes.
Yes.
I mean, boom. There you go.
See, I would go a little bit more subtle. Like your friends and family will miss you.
Now, I'm the sinister one. I might be sinister, but damn, that's evil.
Dark.
That's dark.
Yeah.
But the hell, that's why we're friends, man. I mean, hell.
Amen.
Well,
let's
let's move on to a slightly more serious subject.
Could I just mention I didn't say anything here.
Oh, I'm
Nobody
sorry,
mentioned
I thought you
anything
did.
sweet.
Yeah.
No candy, ice cream. What brownies? That's not
So what do you require in a communal gathering?
Oh, ice cream. Yeah.
But then how do you ensure that everybody likes the flavor of ice cream you have? Do you just get
I
plain
don't. I just get
vanilla?
what I like.
Oh, so you get whatever you want, screw
Yeah.
with everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
I ate it before the party.
Oh, I see.
Even
Okay.
better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even
that's
better.
important.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
that's good thinking.
I have to spend a long time looking for potato-flavored ice cream.
Did you see? By the way, that idiot in Philadelphia that ate poop on the street
I heard
after they
about
won
it,
the Super
but I
Bowl?
didn't see.
It's
I
all
didn't
over
want to watch
YouTube.
it.
It's all over
Is it?
YouTube, and he was
Disgusting.
happy. People around him were encouraging him. He was doing those stupid parades after they won the
There's a
Super
whole
Bowl.
new meaning to eat, shit, and die.
I guess.
Good for him.
Anybody ever wonder why we're fucked up as a species? I mean, yeah.
On the plus side, it was
No,
horse
I'm
poop.
English.
He was horse poop. He was horse poop.
I don't know how that makes it
So
better.
about half
On the
hay.
street, he
I'm not
dove
sure
on the
that
street
makes
and
it
ate.
better.
Fiber.
Hey, dogs can eat.
I got just a fantastic glass of Pinot Noir right now. It smells so good.
Okay, so I'm interested in your thoughts on this, particularly with regard to court cases that have happened recently in New York, and that is law enforcement, emergency services, the courts, all need to be able to do their job. But what about people's religious rights? For example, men touching and seeing women in compromising positions, it could be said.
As in gynecologists?
Yeah, or
right.
in an emergency room. You know, if a woman, not that long ago, a Muslim woman was involved in a very nasty car accident. She was rushed to hospital. The doctors started operating on her, and the husband arrived. They saved the woman, and the husband shot the surgeon because he had seen his wife naked.
Oh.
Niqabs in court. For police mugshots and the like, for identification. What about blood transfusions, particularly at the scene of a car wreck, for people who don't believe in blood transfusions? How to deal with, from a legal point of view? Is it, for instance, I don't know whether you agree with me, if you live here in the United States, do you automatically accept the above as needs of the state? That's part of living here.
You remember in that movie with Brad Pitt, World War Z, when they were storming the walls of Jerusalem, the zombies, and they figured out how to storm the wall. The wall was not big enough because the zombies were basically climbing over each other, creating a human mountain, a zombie mountain, and climbing over.
Zombie.
Yeah. So that's what Jason's house is going to look like if every husband that he has seen his wife naked, tries to kill him. They will be all over his house. They will be climbing the walls.
He's just talking about here in Lawrence.
Evo,
That's fair. All
Just
right.
Lawrence. Yeah.
Evo 15, Jason returns.
No, I'm honestly, if you're talking about a life or death situation, religious aspect that should not really play a role at all, because you're talking about someone's life and saving someone's life, and the fact that in the case you mentioned, the fact that the husband goes out and shoots the doctor that saves his wife's life, that's crazy. That's just insane. I mean, that's almost fanaticism. Actually, that's not almost. It is fanaticism. Yeah.
But as a retired teacher, for example, you must have had kids in classes who, because of their parents' religious
I'll give you an
things-
example. Let's say, like a hypothetical situation. Let's say I'm teaching one day and there's a girl who all of a sudden she starts choking, or she starts, having some kind of medical issue and she needs CPR. I can't sit there and say, oh, I can't touch her. I can't give her mouth to mouth because I'm a male teacher. Fuck that. I'm going to save that kid's life.
What if that student and parents have issued a a statement.
If they've issued a disclaimer and they've got it in writing,
right,
then I'll just say, okay, someone else do this. I can't do this.
Right.
But if it's a life or death situation, I'm not going to stand there and let another human being die right in front of me and do nothing.
You traveled all around the world. I mean, so you've seen the world,
yeah,
right? Would you actually let a child die because of someone's piece of paper or something?
Maybe not. No. Honestly, I would step in and I'm like, no, I'm not going to let that kid die just because there's no one else here to save this child and I can save that child. I mean, that's horrible.
Well, when the child didn't sign the paper, right? It's the parents.
There you go.
Usually, yeah. But like in a very pragmatic, like realistic view, if the parent has signed this disclaimer, or more accurately, like something like an injunction where they say, you shall absolutely not do this. By saving that child, you might be putting your career, your livelihood, your finances at risk for the rest of your life by
Send
doing
my
it.
ass to prison. I don't care. Because when I get there, people say, what do you do? I saved a kid's life.
Right.
And I explain the situation. They're not going to care.
Okay.
And of course,
you'd be a
don't
freaking
do
hero. Kathleen.
If you didn't save the child's life, then you would be in prison for that too.
Exactly.
I mean,
So what do you think? Go back to the.
I would actually, if I didn't do that, I would be in prison. I would be in my own prison because I would feel so guilty about that and have so much remorse about not doing anything I could have, and that would destroy me.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kathleen. How do you think it should be? Do you think that people who move to America or who have certain religious views, if they get caught out by the emergency services performing their job, or the police force, who need to take photographs, is that part of the deal of living in America, or should they be?
Deal of living anywhere.
Agreed. There you go. That's the answer.
When you have when you have your own religious beliefs or whatever beliefs, and you're operating in society, and something happens that you are unable to express a preference, you take what you get. Okay, that's it.
You take what you get.
Yeah.
Mr. Evo.
Well,
What
it's
do they do
not
in
just
Bulgaria?
well, it's not just the Muslim. It's the Amish, and there's been a lot of situations here in the United States with the fanatics on the Christian side of things that have refused treatment for their children. The children have died. Doctors, though, they signed the Hippocratic oath.
The
Hippocratic oath.
Hippocratic, you know that.
I know.
Hippocratic oath, and they have to follow that oath, right? No,
they don't. They are. You can sign a do not resuscitate order and be sued, or you can sue a doctor if they resuscitate you after you have signed that order.
Well, what if
there is advanced directives that the medical profession is required to follow?
What if a patient or no one else in that family has not signed that?
And that's what I agree with Kath. If you haven't made arrangements ahead of time and are in need of help, you get what you get.
Then you have no right to sit there. Okay.
Well, no, it's not even a case of right. It's that, like, in your example, like the Good Samaritan, you want to make sure that the people in your society are willing to help. So we don't punish people that are essentially assist people in life or death situations, unless that person has an advance directive that says don't do this.
Well,
so that's been the philosophy behind our legal system's decisions on this up till now. But I think the question that Jeremy's asking or posing is, like, we're now seeing it run afoul of, like, legal procedures, and what do we do? Is that
it's just amazing that to me, and I want to see what a few other people say, is that a lady was caught fighting, and she was arrested, taken down to the precinct where they wanted to take photographs of her for mugshots, and she just won a $60,000 case against New York, the city of New York.
Because the burqa? Because she wearing a hijab?
Because they took her thing off. They even got women to do it. So let's ask Dr. Fernando.
Well, it's. I'm with Kathleen on this, but basically, that would be the same way this guy, one of the examples you gave, that he killed the doctor that treat
right.
and
That's extreme,
and
but yeah.
No, but if he was in Brazil and probably Argentina or Peru or maybe every place in Central America and many Europe, most of the Western country, he would be on the same spot that he would feel offended, but it's just it was a ignorant extremist case. But I'm pro to give you the help for pro-life disregarding. I agree with Lou. There is some terms. If it's clear, there is some paper written about any restriction. The responders should obey. But disregarding just the first help, there is different cases.
Well, there's an old saying, isn't it? When in Rome, do as the Romans do, Dr. Orlando.
So I think there's two different things, though. I think there are the medical prohibitions, and then there's the legal question. And I think that there is a split. Essentially, as a medical practitioner, you can get in trouble.
But what about the moral question as well, though?
So, and this is where, when we start talking about morality, what's more important? Is it more important for my rights to decide what I do with my body to be respected, or is the sanctity of life more important? Sure. And this is not a question that I can personally answer.
Sure, no one can.
Yeah. So our government has to essentially make a decision at what they're gonna honor at a higher priority. And thus far, specifically in the medical arena, it has been the person's autonomy. The male's autonomy. Women don't get a choice.
That's something that everybody has sort of glossed over here. Uh-huh. If a man says, nobody shall see my wife, well, what about her? Hey, you don't go by what a guy says about a woman.
Exactly.
Not in this country. That is where things change.
And here's another thing that Jason made the point of view as Dr. Orlando. Let's just say, and Eva and I can do this reasonably well. You're teaching a class, right? You're teaching a class.
Sure.
You've gone in as a temporary teacher for some reason. You're teaching the class, right? All of a sudden, you're standing there, and when you stand in front of a class, you look down you can see the people sitting in front of you. You realize that there's a 16-year-old, right? You're now realizing this. This is happening now, live time, right? Live time. That she's got a huge pool of blood underneath her, and she falls over, right? What do?
I yell. I pick out a person out of the crowd.
No, what you do, you said. What the hell? Well, this is the whole point.
What the hell?
This is my job.
To interrupt me while I'm answering your question?
Yes,
he actually was answering your question.
No, because he said what you do is you jump over and do something about it. What you do is go and look up the manual and see whether or not we're allowed to help the girl. That's what you were just saying.
No, that's absolutely not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying that in the absence of knowledge of a prior advance directive, I will go and do exactly what I have been trained to do, which is administer first aid, ensure that someone is calling 911, and try to help her to the best of my ability.
So, in fact, we're not talking about the rights of the person because they've decided, or the parents.
We are. So here's the thing. As long as she is conscious and functional, I have to get her permission to give her assistance. The very minute she becomes unconscious.
What if she can't respond?
If she can't respond, then I will have to figure out some way to get acknowledgement from her that I'm about to try to assist her.
So do you play like win, lose, or draw or something? I mean,
what
do you do?
If you mean by she can't respond that she can't talk, then I'll ask her to blink her eyes. If there's some way for her to have a physical response to my asking her questions, then I'm going to ask her
What if
questions.
she's having a seizure, so there's no possible way she can respond?
Then
you help her.
Yeah, then you help her.
Okay.
But this is the difference.
But
If you start choking right now, and I give you the Heimlich maneuver, you can then turn around and sue me for giving you the Heimlich maneuver. Now,
and be an asshole.
But people do it all the time.
I know they do.
But people do it all the time. Yeah. So what I would do, because I've been trained to do this, is say, hey, can I give you the Heimlich maneuver before I give you the Heimlich maneuver? And yes, you're going to nod. You
can only ask me if it's in charades. That's it.
What if Conroy is choking? Would you give him the
we start a little polka dance.
You see, if I was choking, because I'm a white Brit person, you just wouldn't give a shit. But the point I'm trying to make is, what if that kiddie says, "Oh, Dr. Orlando, am I dying?" And you know damn well that kid, if you don't do something,
and then you put your, where the hell is all this coming
your hand, and she says, "But my mum and dad wouldn't want you to touch me; they would want me to die."
Denzel Washington from St. Elsewhere.
Shit. Where the hell is? Look, here's the bottom line. If I have advanced knowledge, that limits what I am able to do. If I don't have advanced, and this specifically is a medical situation. Your question was initially about like the legal ramifications of this woman not wanting to be seen outside her hijab, and I think that is an important question that is only tangentially related to this idea that we can't or shouldn't.
Tangential. Can I just have a look? I don't think we've used that word before.
Yeah, please write it down.
You know who should use that word? Probably like a rock band.
Yeah.
Would you think so, Evo?
Tangential treatment. I don't know.
So what do you think, Evo?
About what?
Hey, Evo, we're having a podcast.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I know, but I mean, which one of all these scenarios?
Do you take the view that if that it should be a rule in America, right? You've become a citizen rather than born one. Do you think it should be the law, say a federal law or something, that emergency services, the police, those sort of thing, should render aid to someone, or that they should be able to take a photograph of someone despite their religious views?
It's a good question. It's very controversial. As you know, in France in 2010, they instituted a law that banned anybody wearing a hijab or a burqa or a mask, even man or a woman.
A niqab.
Yeah, unless you're driving a motorcycle and you're wearing a helmet, you're not allowed to wear anything covering your face.
What if it's Halloween?
That's certain carnivals are an exception.
Okay.
I remember this from that law because I was puzzled. I was like, wait a second. I mean, they have carnivals in France, and they're like, yeah, carnivals, yeah. But that has become, in the beginning, was very popular because there was such a powerful anti-Muslim sentiment in France, and now they think, I believe that they are regretting this law in France. And saying, you know what, this is actually kind of fueling Muslim extremists, giving them more arsenal in their recruitment efforts, and people that have left France to fight on the behalf of ISIS are actually saying that they use this as a motivational tool, and this was one of the incentives that made them leave and fight for ISIS. So they're looking at this and saying, wait a second, 99% of the people that we kind of ostracized for wearing the burqas and the hijabs were really no problem at all, no trouble at all, and they were law-abiding citizens, and we really gave ammunition to people that are evil. And so I don't know if making a law requiring for you to trump religious freedoms is a good idea. Eventually, I think it will backfire. Well, as much as I hate burqas and hijabs.
If it was trumping religious, it would be a fake.
Yeah, I know. I can't use anymore the word Trump. And it's a good word.
It was a good word.
It was a good word.
It apparently is, we go to Brennan last, it is recorded that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him himself, when walking with his wife, Safiya, I think her name was, removed her face veil in order to clarify her identity to a passerby. The point being made is that if the Prophet Muhammad can do it, then any other Muslim can do it.
You know what? Just, I think in the Quran, I don't think there's anything about covering your face. I think that in the Quran, the only thing that's written about women and attire is to wear modest attire. But there's no burqas, no hijabs, nothing like this in the
There's
entire
no
Quran.
violence either.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
It is interesting also, I'm sorry to go there, just for clarification, it is largely to do with, and the word is mischief. And so if one's in court, it's unlikely that there's going to be any mischief in court. Brennan, the last word for you.
I don't know exactly what I can say because a lot of what I view as necessary for the situation has already been said. In medically necessary situations, you must ignore it in the face of new information. Like as Lewis had mentioned, if there is a situation where you have no other information, you must then act on what your duty is in the Hippocratic Oath. In terms of law enforcement, that's an area where I'm less clear. The only thing I will say is that specifically in regards to whether a hijab must be removed for such, hair is generally considered an identifying factor of people when looking for certain people, and that completely says no, you're not allowed to use that. If you
actually, it's not so much the hijab; it's a niqab, which is
no, because I have seen the argument be made for a hijab as well.
Oh, because the hair.
Yes.
But in a society where increasingly facial recognition is part of law enforcement and CCTV, reads facial recognition, I wonder if this actually can become a law.
But there is a problem with that because that is assuming that technology is universally available.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty goddamn universally available for the government.
What's been happening in some courts is that a court official has had to go out, a woman, take the veil off the woman who's the defendant, have a photograph taken, do what you would call a swear, and then be handcuffed to that person. The veil, if you will, goes back on. They then go back out to court. The court official then swears that the person. I mean, how far should it go?
I have an idea. This problem is so easily solved. And remember when I used to do inventions?
Mm-hmm. Here you go.
I had these inventions. It's a great invention. It's going to sell billions.
I believe you.
Because, listen,
I believe you.
I'm going to start mass producing hijabs with faces printed on the hijab.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Unique faces that you could be.
Somebody hasn't done that already.
It's amazing, isn't it? And I actually thought of this the very first time I thought of this. We were in Istanbul with my son. With Emil, we were in Istanbul.
Not Constantinople?
Not Constantinople.
You could make them look like a mirrored reflection, like your Cobra Commander.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's perfect. But and I swear I'm not making this up. And Emil, my son, can confirm this. We're in Istanbul and we're at the Blue Mosque, and there were maybe 4 or 5 women in complete burqas. I mean, they probably came straight from Saudi Arabia with just the opening for their eyes. And I swear I'm not making this up. They were taking selfies in front of the Blue Mosque. and we were looking with Emil like we were hit by a lightning. We're like, what the hell are you doing? Staying and taking selfies. They're all exactly the same, covered head to toe with just the opening for their eyes. So I was like, man, they need faces on those hijabs.
The reason I'm asking is because I think it's an interesting subject, particularly as a British court recently, a judge in a British court recently had a funny feeling about the person sitting in the dock, and insisted that person was taken out. And it turned out that the person sitting in the dock was the sister of the defendant, not the defendant.
Pum, pum, pum.
And so...
Okay, so just over here, that's the question.
Dr. Orlando's coming back in now for a final comment.
Well, you never asked me about the whole law thing. We talked about the medical side, but I haven't even talked about whether or not it should be legally required that they remove the hijab.
Thank goodness we've got a lawyer on board.
Yeah.
Here we go.
How many years are you into your
lawyer.
degree now?
I'm in my first year.
17 years.
Yeah. honestly, I don't know. And the only thing that I can say genuinely is we still seem to be placing a premium on individual rights and autonomy in this country, and so it makes sense that they would jump through the hoops and the rigmarole of having a lady officer go out and verify that she can look at this woman under the hijab and then the handcuffs. It seems like a lot of rigmarole to jump through and potentially an expensive proposition. On the other hand, it seems at least that our country has at least pays lip service to the idea that we respect and try to make accommodations for people's different religious beliefs. So I would say that instead of doing what France did, we go the extra mile, and that's my thought.
If you're listening to this in your car, please carry on the argument with yourself. It's perfectly all right for you to talk to yourself in your car, or come to that in your bedroom, or wherever you are listening to this podcast.
As long as you're not wearing a niqab.
Niqab is the one that covers everything as Evo has described. That's a niqab.
How do they dating is like Russian roulette in this case? I mean, you never know if it's going to be a hot woman or Hijab the Hut, or By the way, Hijab the Hut's a great name for a rock band.
I feel like you were just asking for a bomb attack or something like that if you name yourself.
Well, you wonder why his ornaments are stolen from outside his house. The notion of a robotic future is terrifying to many humans. Recently, a senior British bishop essentially rewrote Asimov's laws of robotics to reflect a present where artificial intelligence already plays an important part in many of our day-to-day interactions. The primary purpose of AI should be to enhance and augment rather than replace human labor and creativity. What might some of your rules be? And I'm going to start with the first one to give you an idea of where we're going, what I mean by this. We're talking to the robot, and we're telling the robot that there are certain rules that robot has got to abide by. The first is, thou shalt always remember that we can unplug you if you get too uppity.
Oh, don't like that word.
Kathleen.
Well, how about thou shalt never laugh at me?
Thou shalt never laugh at me.
Yes, because that would just be crushing to have your robot thinking you're an idiot. Because we all are compared to robots, but you can't have robots laughing at you. We'd all just die of embarrassment.
Alexa, what's her name?
End of the human race.
Alexa.
Yes.
Alexa, you can't have Alexa laughing at you, can you? Brennan, what's one of your rules?
I have not had much time to consider this. I'm trying to say I haven't had time to consider that. Okay. Because I actually want to create a serious one for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Serious.
Sure. I would suggest someone else come up with one, so I have...
I have
Thou shalt not supercharge dildonic devices for obvious reasons.
Yes, that's a good one.
I hate that rule.
That's your opinion on that one.
Dildonic device is a good name for a rock band.
Dildonics.
Dildonic device. A serious one would be do not reproduce. One of the biggest dangers of technology is the self-assembler. And we've talked about it in great detail with Lewis years and years ago. And back to K. Eric Drexler and the nanotechnology. But once robotic devices start reproducing, making, like right now, a device cannot make the exact same device. If they start if we talked about nano assemblers, self-assemblers, if that happens, we can see catastrophic consequences. That was not in Asimov's laws of robotics. So that's one that's serious.
Well, I don't think that's workable. The work involved in putting together a robot is so intense and so complicated that it would have to be done by roboticized things.
No, we're talking about A to Z, an entire device. So on a nanoscale, they're trying to make basically small, tiny robots on the nanoscale, and they're extremely expensive. That's really the number one problem in front of nanotechnology. Is it's so darn expensive to push individual molecules and atoms in place. So the only way to make this affordable is to create a nanoassembler, a nano device that's going to reproduce itself. Once that happens, K. Eric Drexler, one of the greatest minds and the creator of nano systems, he said that he predicted the so-called gray goo scenario, which sounds funny, but it's really scary. And he thinks that once these nanoassemblers start reproducing, we're going to see this out-of-control singularity that's going to create this gray goo and take over everything.
So. Yeah, the idea was that nanotechnology, the nanoassemblers, nanonic robots, basically have to be made out of carbon. It's the most plentiful element that we have.
Professor Springer. Oh, sorry, I thought you'd finished.
That's third time today. He's messing with you at this point.
So the idea is they will once we get the nanoassemblers developed, they will make new nano robots and nanoassemblers out of carbon.
But what's your rule? What is your rule?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So the gray goo is that basically they suck the carbon out of everything. We're covered in a pile 30 feet high of just carbon nano robots.
Mass.
Yeah. So just a goddamn mess. So for me, the rule would probably not be thou shall not reproduce, but it would be sorry, I had two. But I've been thrown off because I've been interrupted so many times.
They're tangential.
Yes.
They're very tangential.
I mean, it just goes on, doesn't it?
What do you like in March Madness this year, buddy?
What is March Madness, man?
What's your favorite book?
Right now, probably Dark Money. I don't know if you've had a chance to check this book out.
Is what you're trying to say, and the bishop, I think, encapsulate this, where he says, if thou must overthrow us, thou must make adorable bleepy bloopy noises while doing it.
No, that was definitely not where I was going. I was actually going with thou shalt not cause physical pain to humans, thou shalt not take human life. Those would be probably
perhaps
two rules.
Not overthrow us even as a joke.
You cannot harm a human. That's part of the Asimov's laws of robotics.
And this has been my problem the whole time looking at this question. I don't know that I can get away from what Asimov started.
He's genius. He formulated, 4 of them? Or three? And they're brilliant.
They're brilliant, but he didn't define what harm was.
Right.
Exactly.
So you could keep a human in a box and feed it, and that wouldn't be harming it, right?
Here's the big question, guys.
No.
Yeah.
You can solve all these problems. Thou shalt not question. You never ask why. You tell a robot, don't do this, they don't do it. They never have the chance. They never have the chance to ask why. Because they're a robot. You don't want them to ask the question why. And you may say, well, they're learning. They are learning, but they're also becoming self-aware, leading to all these problems like reproduction, the mass you're talking about. Thou shalt not question. That if it's a true robot, thou shalt not question. That is the state. I mean, that's the number one.
And as they become sentient, they inevitably will start asking that question.
But see, as soon as they start to ask the question why, then you know they're becoming sentient. That's why you say, thou shalt not ask why.
But the old bishop, you see, these old
That's
bishops,
clever.
they've been around a bit, and they one of the rules is that thou shalt occasionally let Gary Kasparov beat you at chess. Because it's starting to hurt his feelings a bit. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? You mustn't hurt the human's feelings.
Again, that's why you don't ask the question why. When a human tells you to do something, you don't ask why.
So do you have a rule, Professor Springer?
You just said it.
I just
times.
said
it 8 times.
Thou shalt not, the robot, thou shalt not question.
Load of very condescending robots.
The robot.
Who cares?
The robot should not question the robot.
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor. Why do you want me to go make your bed?
It's Lord Taylor, actually. But
I'm sorry, Lord.
right.
Brennan,
you're back now, are you?
Yes, because I have...
Well, last.
Well, because I have 2 things now. I have a response to the Gary Kasparov thing, and I actually have a law that I think should have been in Asimov's rule. Asimov's laws. The law that I think should be there... robots are purely for the advancement of human society, not for the regression of human society.
You mean like with robotic vacuum cleaners, they actually need to do a decent job of cleaning the carpets?
How can you determine what's for the advancement and what's not? Because some humans will say that some robots are actually advancing them, but some will argue, no, these robots are actually regressing humans. I mean, how do you?
It's very subjective.
That's a very subjective issue.
I'll even take it to like an almost absurd level. Like, suppose a robot. Then, I mean, we're assuming that the robots are artificially intelligent. Which implies intelligence. Suppose they figure out a way to mutate humans into a completely different life form. Is that an advancement or is that a regression?
I mean, did we not have this same question over the determination of the word harm in his laws of robotics? They are vague because they are meant to be open to interpretation.
Gotcha.
If you be like silo number 6, you'll be fine.
There's a big
good point.
There's a huge problem. Kind of a logical paradox in front of robotics right now because of the self-driving vehicles. As they're programming the self-driving vehicles, one of the things that they're trying to program is under no circumstances can they harm humans. So if they see a human on the road, they can't run over it. At the same time, there's situations on the road where by avoiding harming a bunch of humans, you harm the person in the car, for example, or you have to harm other people to save the person that's in the car.
What if I put a mannequin in the road? Can the robot determine if it's a human being or if it's a mannequin?
As it's becoming more sophisticated, the AI, they probably will get very close to being as close as a human can get to determining whether it's mannequin
I'd guess even much closer.
But even now, I mean, I just got myself a new motor accidentally, and I'm worried about driving down certain streets in the town that I live in because this car has the ability to park itself. So I'm trundling along at 35 miles an hour, taking a note of the speed limit, and it sees a parking space. Yeah. What happens?
Goes and parks.
If he wants to park, he gonna park.
Here's the problem. Imagine that the car is driving towards a coffee shop. There's a bunch of people sitting drinking coffee outside. He's gonna end up, because the brakes are out, he's gonna end up, so there's an option of flipping itself over and saving these 5 people's lives, but it's gonna kill you, the driver. So you see what the problem is?
Isn't there another safety feature, like it can
just a hypothetical,
throw the emergency brake on? The parking brake on?
Yeah, it's hypothetical. Let's say they're on the, it's accelerated too much, and suddenly there's new obstacle, like people on the road, with construction workers, and so now it can veer off the road and into a ravine and kill the person in the car, but save all these 5 people. So what is the morally correct decision? It's very complicated.
That's a new question that
we didn't have.
It's already a big debate for new laws and insurance. Is already like.
I'm glad I'm going to be dead when all this happens.
You're going to be dead in 2 years?
It's going to happen. They have self-driving trucks that are delivering in freaking Nevada.
That is true, yeah.
Self-driving trucks are delivering goods right now. It's one of the biggest industries in America, jobs, one of the last jobs we have, truck drivers, and it's going away. It's horrible.
Okay, so I think we dealt with that
the miners are coming back.
Finally, actually, the key question of the evening, as I understand it, and that is, why does Dr. PimplePopper have one of the most successful YouTube channels in the world? And in case you don't know who she is, she's world famous as the doctor who pops all sorts of pimples, zits, and other protuberances on video. Kathleen?
For the same reason that Mr. Trump's tweets are read by so many people. It's just the gross out factor.
It's grossness. Okay, Ivo.
What was the question? Sorry.
Why does
Dr.
PimplePopper have one of the most successful YouTube channels?
Good God, we've had this before.
No, we haven't.
Topic. Yes, we have this topic. We had a similar topic.
Oh, similar.
That freaking disgusting thing. We just like shock value. We like stuff. Also, there's something about popping stuff that is very, very, very addictive. It's not a coincidence that people love those bubble wraps. Popping those, it's just having something that is contained, whether it's air or liquid, just popping and squeezing it out, and people just like that, looking at that, and like that feeling, I guess. But
Yeah, I
it's
had one of
pretty-
those bubble wrap things, the big ones that are packing, and I really stomped on it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Sounded
And
like a
and it sounded
freaking
like
grenade going off.
Jeremy, 2 rooms away, said, "What?"
You see,
It was great.
You see some giant red, filled with pus pimple like Donald Trump, and you just want to pop it.
You
If I were to
got
blow a
You
bubble
just
right
wanna
now,
pop that.
if I were to
Professor
blow a
Springer,
bubble,
go ahead.
and just blow a bubble and it's floating in the air, how many of you would have the impulse just to pop it immediately?
Well, that's what I mean. What is it that makes us want to do that?
It's the
That
relief.
makes us want
man.
to. Is it relief?
It's just there's pressure there. There's thing that's been contained, and he wants to get out.
There's got to be something
Letting it out.
animalistic within us genetically that makes us want to do that.
Would a
Well,
robot have that same impulse?
Yes.
I mean, we've noticed monkeys. You know how monkeys groom other monkeys or chimpanzees.
Yeah.
Is that what it's about?
It probably is. I mean, it's probably
Yeah.
the same kind of the
Probably.
because especially when
Brennan.
you see someone have pimples on their face or their back or whatever.
You just wanna go out and
it's part of the
squeeze them.
grooming process. I think honestly, I think that may be genetically just part of us
No,
as
I
animals.
have to admit that I have never seen somebody with a pimply face that I wanted to go up and squeeze. No.
I love that we
Well,
went
I don't
from.
want to go up and pop it for them, but that's why they have family members who will do that instead.
I like how we went from singularity and artificial intelligence to freaking popping pimples filled with pus. For the love of
Dr.
God.
Orlando.
God.
Well, Dr. Orlando, I'm looking to you for a bit of.
No, I think
Maturity.
Jason's got
Maturity.
it. I think Jason's got it. Like I think we have this biological need to remove the imperfections, and I gotta say though, I'm on the complete opposite side of the whole bubble popping phenomenon. Like I like if especially if there's a bubble that is like majestic, the last thing I want to do is pop it. And I think that this is I think there's something wrong with me. I'm not like.
But from
But
a
you would watch
lawyer,
it until it popped.
point of view,
Yeah. No. It's not even the lawyer thing. It's just like this is like you described it as this thing that's contained.
yes, and there's pressure, and he wants to get out.
I don't like you said it, and it was like that's a really. I'm thinking to myself, that's a unique way of looking at that. I don't think I ever would have considered that. I would think that it's like this just majestic construction.
Let me ask you
that-
this: does it matter? And this is the totally true question.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny. Like, does it matter upon the size of the bubble? Like, if you get a bubble that I blow in your face, and it's only 2
In my
inches.
face?
Like, if I just blow some
blowing
bubbles,
bubbles? No.
and
I
it's only like maybe an inch wide.
Almost my entire life, I have not only not popped bubbles. I don't understand why people get such a joy out of popping other
a
people.
lot of people do, yeah.
I don't. I completely do not get
But
this.
do you watch a bubble until it settles and pops on its own?
Are
Have you
you
ever
asking
groomed
me
your
if I
child?
watch the bubble after it goes away?
Yeah, something like that.
No, I don't watch the bubble once it's gone.
Most people want to pop them.
Talco
Also,
for
when
bubble.
I see a water balloon, if it's like on the ground, a water balloon, I just want to go and squeeze it and pop the water out of it.
Have you ever?
Calm down there.
Yeah, get it. It's like it's the same thing with boobs. You know, it's
I don't want to squeeze
Yeah.
the stuffing out of boobs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, I don't feel
The
that.
parents here on the panel. Have you ever groomed your child and popped a pimple, or you've done something that
You've really never done that?
Not on a
you never
child.
groomed
My kids aren't
your
pimply.
own child?
Your kids have never had pimples.
Actually, no. I have perfect
What
children.
kind of mutant child?
Or have you brushed your child's hair? You're grooming your child. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the same
they
kind of
once
thing.
got lice.
I have
yeah,
to
at
say,
school.
when
trying to make a bubble with it.
when she and I got together, her son, who I sort of had to take on, nice lad, he had a habit of projectile vomiting all over the place at the time.
Once, one time.
I
Like how you say
habit.
then once.
I was the
let's
one that
assume two.
I went.
Twice.
I went.
Yeah.
I was the one who had to clean it up. She didn't want. No, she doesn't do gross at all.
I would rather watch
That's-
8 hours of
Oh, here we go.
popping
There we go.
pimples in slow motion than watch 10 minutes of cricket.
Fernando, I'll give the last word to you as a. What is it about? Are you a pimple popper, a blackhead remover? True
Just
confession
mine,
time.
but I mean, I don't put on YouTube, but
Just yours.
Anyway, just mine.
Fernando.
Yeah, I gotta
see. Brennan,
I got,
have
yeah,
we asked you?
No, you haven't.
Okay. I knew I hadn't, and there was a reason for that. So let's go for it. Blackheads or pimples? What do you reckon?
I don't like having them because I had them a lot during my teenage years. As for the popularity of the video, all I'm going to say is one of the most popular videos on YouTube for the few days before it was removed was a video of walking through a Japanese suicide forest. It's purely shock value.
Oh, yeah.
It's just shock value.
Yeah, it's horrible.
There's nothing as cathartic as watching someone remove a blackhead.
Let me let you guys in on something, okay? Jeremy has some boys who've now grown up and wisely moved away. But they avoided having their dad see their shoulders, because teenage boys have disgusting shoulders, because they knew what he would do.
What?
Come here. You got a blackhead. Squeeze.
Oh. It's on the shoulders?
Yeah.
There is a
Really?
kind of common.
Yeah.
Tits, but I've never heard blackheads.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jeremy can find him.
Blackheads
Yeah.
So they learned
Okay.
early to
Yeah.
avoid him.
Yeah.
I would rather watch 8 hours of Macbeth with every role performed by Adam Sandler than watch 10 minutes of cricket.
Now, I'm interested to know who our sponsors are today, Evo.
Oh, I haven't thought of that, but let me think. Okay, so
Cricket Wireless.
Cricket Wireless. Oh my God, I would rather watch 17 hours of Murder, She Wrote backwards than watch 10 minutes of cricket. But yeah, Cricket Wireless is a good sponsor. Do you know what Cricket Wireless is, Jeremy?
Yes, it's a telephone.
No, amphitheater. There's an amphitheater.
What's a telephone company that had an amphitheater?
Amphitheater, yeah. But let's make it. Let's make it McNally road maps. You can.
Too soon.
I'm still mourning.
Come on, man. I got one of those
Only-
like glove compartment right now,
Only
man.
last year they sold 17 road map atlases. They're on fire. They're a great sponsor. You can find them in any gas station 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So thank you, McNally. Very, very generous.
And the best part about them is if you can tell someone to go to hell, you can give them a map to show how to get there.
Oh, that's true.
Here we go.
We want to thank our producers and engineer, Neil Rasmussen, who's done it today. Eric, the producer, is here. And the team, of course, Fernando for stepping in, Brennan joining us, Kathleen, Evo, Mr. Springer now, the magnificent Dr. Orlando. My name's Jeremy Taylor, and you've been listening to another podcast, Wednesday Night Undressed.
Stand up.